Coming up on today's episode, HDTV Shopping. Mr. Heron's got some deals that should be on your short list if you're looking for an HDTV this holiday season. WDTV Live, our quest to review every set-top box out there continues. BluRay, crushing the DVD version. I've got some choice scenes for you. And of course, the BluRay releases for the week of December 8th, 2009, and a heaping stack of your questions. This is HD Nation.
HD Nation.
Today's episode is brought to you by GameFly, Squarespace, and GoDaddy.com.
Welcome to HD Nation. I'm Robert Heron.
And I'm Patrick Norton. HD Nation is your guide to the best in HD content and the best in home theater gear, no matter what your budget is. Blu-ray, online, satellite, cable, over-the-air, hard drive, thumb drive. If it is in HD, we likes it.
Well, hey, you know, we don't do a whole lot of business coverage, but we've got to say that Black Friday shopping was good for the HD Nation, especially if you were Vizio. The company said TV sales were up 40% over Black Friday in 2008. Geek.com calculates that that is something like 280,000 HDTVs.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Epic pile of HDTVs.
They're a moving product.
Oh my goodness.
There are a lot of people out there shopping. I saw a lot of boxes in the parking lots going into cars, so I think there were a lot of happy campers this weekend.
This is true. Oh, if you're looking to buy a Sony HDTV, you might want to check Amazon.com. Not only do they ship free and offer excellent prices on all brands of HDTVs, they're giving away a free PS3 120 gigabyte or a Blu-ray player, probably Sony, when you purchase select. Why is it always select Bravia HDTVs? That offer's running until December 13th, 2009, or until the stacks of PS3s and Blu-ray players run out. Would you pick the PS3 or the Blu-ray?
I would pick a PS3. I would have to.
On a more surreal note, HDTV shoppers in a Target in Winona, Minnesota ran for their lives, probably screaming, when a man started walked in off the street, started smashing the HDTVs on display with a hammer. The panic apparently emptied the store, and the suspect was tased and pepper sprayed into submission. And apparently the suspect does not remember a thing, much less why he was in a Target smashing HDTVs a good 300 miles from his house.
Oh, come on. Now, you can't tell me that you haven't thought at least once of just walking into the TV store and just going crazy with a wrecking ball.
Absolutely.
Maybe a hammer.
Sledgehammer. Probably a sledgehammer. Maybe a baseball bat.
What's up with that, man?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and he doesn't remember any of it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm thinking blackout.
That's what the attorney tells you to say.
No comment. Are you ready to review a wireless HDMI adapter?
I would like to look at another one. Sure.
Okay. Rocketfish, one of Best Buy's, well, basically it's one of Best Buy's house brands. They got a 60 gigahertz, running on 60 gigahertz, 1080p content, deep color, 60 frames per second, blah, 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 blah. And it's around $600. But it is wireless HDMI, and that's Geffen money. Geffen, if you're not familiar with it, it's like the premier video adapter switcher box. Like if you don't want to think about it, you buy Geffen. It's like buying
Proudly
IBM computers in the 70s, right? Geffen they make bomb-proof stuff. It's not cheap. But I mean, are you excited about wireless HDMI? Are you excited about wireless HDMI?
I am, but like every tech we look at, starting with like Blu-ray players a couple of years ago, they were $1,000 a pop, and nowadays they're under $100 in some cases, especially on sale. But with wireless HDMI, I see it taking a similar path. You're going to see it integrated already into the premium HDTVs, the premium models, and hopefully we'll have standalone transmitter products dropping in price soon.
I just want a wireless mouse that works.
Okay, that I think they figured out pretty well, except for gaming. I'm never satisfied gaming with a wireless mouse, but that's another topic.
That's true.
On the universal remote control front, speaking of which, Mr. Norton, are you ever going to finish that face-off between the $400 Harmony 900 and the Harmony 880, which I think you were saying at Costco, it's about $90 right now?
Yeah, I picked it up for like 88, $90 at Costco. Yeah, next week, I promise. Next week, it will be in C Block next week. Be
awesome. There. We'll get it done. iPhone users, you do have a new remote control option, ThinkFlood's Red Eye.
Yeah.
Sort of big old boom.
I saw this. Well, it's pretty trippy, right? It's a free application, but you basically need a $190 base station, an IR blaster that your application on your remote controls the base station. Wired's Gadget Lab has a review of it up, and there'll be a link to that in the show notes.
It's a cool deal.
Yeah, I've used Apple Remote a lot, which is great because we got the Apple TV, so it allows you to control the Apple TV from your iPhone,
So the iPhone itself doesn't have an infrared blaster in it. So they would have this base station that you control somehow with probably radio frequency.
You know what? I'm going to reread the Wired review, and you should all obviously read the Wired review. But maybe it does control from the phone directly. In any case, I will download it and check it along with the other two.
Probably Bluetooth.
On an even more frantic note, fans of the Harry Potter movies should be besides themselves. Home Media Magazine reports that Warner is going over the top with the launch of the Blu-ray. I guess over the top would be turning my hat around backwards, and it's a movie reference. Go search IMDb. Anyhow, basically, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince coming out in Blu-ray. They're going to do a community screening of the film via BD Live. Finally, something interesting via BD Live. Basically, 100,000 people will be able to listen to Daniel Radcliffe. That's Harry Potter, by the way, since I'm sure you haven't seen any of these movies, Robert.
No, but he was in something
David
else.
Yates, the director.
Didn't he play the bad guy in Sin City?
Amongst other things. So 100,000 fans will be able to listen to the pair answer questions while the film rolls on. So I'm excited. This is something that sort of fulfills. Everybody talks about BD Live. Like, BD Live will save us all. And that's actually kind of cool.
I think some of the Disney titles offer a way to sync up the viewing experience with another person,
Right.
and then you can both start the movie and watch it together in a sense. But
Get your whole Bill Gates thing on with your.
if you can dealing with Disney's login procedures and creating the account in order to actually access that feature, but that's another.
Do you still have to send in blood for that?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. They make it way too difficult.
All right. I'm not entirely sure the whole BD Live experience makes up for splitting the final movie or the final book in the series across two movies, unless they get super deep into the plot, which would be cool because the books are usually much thicker than the movies. But hey, it can't really be any worse than The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolution.
No! You know what? I actually rewatched both of those back to back over the weekend, over the holiday.
Did you finally look at them and go, dear God, what was I thinking?
Epic. They were even better. You have to watch the second two movies back to back. They go together. The first one's almost a standalone movie. The next two, perfect.
Perfect.
Like peanut butter and chocolate.
Like a Reese's peanut butter cup of cinematic delights.
I was watching it in glorious high def, no doubt.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about the releases of the weekend, some choice scenes for seeing the difference between DVD and Blu-ray. But right now, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, GameFly. Video games aren't cheap, people, and sometimes they suck. If you're dropping $50 on a new title, you can get stuck. Enter GameFly, the largest online video game rental service. They've got over 6,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. Instead of gambling $50 on a new game, how about $15.95 a month to become a GameFly member? You can rent 1 to 4 games at a time, keep them for as long as you like. There are no late fees, no due dates, and shipping is always free. Once you're done playing a game, send it back and GameFly will send you the next available game on your list. You really like the game you're playing? Click Keep It on the GameFly website and the game is yours at a discounted price. Discounts are good. And GameFly will even mail you the case and manuals free of charge. And if you're a little tired of a title you've been hanging around and you want to get rid of it, you can trade in used games for credit towards membership fees. What could top all that? How about a 2-week free trial? HD Nation fans get a 2-week free trial when they sign up at gamefly.com/HDNation. Some restrictions do apply. Please see the site for details, and please support HD Nation by trying out our sponsors like GameFly. A number of folks have emailed in asking for our picks of movie scenes where you can really see the difference between the DVD and the Blu-ray versions of a movie, which I am totally up for talking about.
Totally. Now, generally speaking, the more you blow up the visual data encoded on DVD or any standard def cable or satellite channel, the more you'll notice compression artifacts and other issues in the picture.
Absolutely.
And not all SD encoders are equal. An MP4 encoded TV episode you legally downloaded might look better than the DVD version, or vice versa.
Yeah.
In any case, you won't notice the difference between SD and HD versions of the same content as much on a 720p TV or on a 1080p TV that's smaller than 40 inches. And especially with fast-moving content like sports, they often reveal more detail and pop more in 1080p than, say, two folks sitting at a table talking.
Yeah, the more that's going on the screen, the more you tend to notice the HD. Like HD Sports is amazing compared to SD Sports. And a lot of people who are like, yeah, I don't really want to buy a Blu-ray, but they'll look at, NASCAR, football, or baseball, and their eyes will explode with joy.
If you're going to see compression artifacts, it's usually in fast-paced either action movies or like basketball games are great when they're panning across the wood floor and all the players moving, and you pay attention to the fans in the stands, and when the camera slows down, they get really detailed. But when the camera's panning away, it can really start to block up a little bit more. You'll notice the detail start to drop in those types of scenes. And you compare that to something like a Blu-ray disc, where it has lots of bandwidth available, or lots of bit rate, so it can provide data per second that's needed to keep a crisp-looking picture.
Absolutely. Look, and I can't say it strongly enough. 1080p televisions 40 inches or longer, 40 inches or larger are much more revealing of SD defects than 720p screens or any screen that's 36, 32-inch screen, because the screen's so smaller, the pixels are so tightly together. It's just less dramatic. The bigger the screen is, the more dramatic the compression artifacts and other issues are. All right, my favorite DVD or cable versus Blu-ray scene is the explosion in the opening chase of Casino Royale. You've got Bond, you've got the crane, then there's like welding equipment falling. There's mayhem. On DirecTV, it's the compression turns it into Lego blocks of orange. Like, I love DirecTV, but the big, scary motion, not always so hot. On 1080p, the DVD version definitely looks compressed. In Blu-ray, we are talking buttery flames that practically singe my eyebrows. It's tasty, people. And I like quality transfers. Maybe it's me. Martin Scorsese, he likes quality transfers. If you didn't see the interview, you should go see the BlueCon episode, because he talks about why he likes Blu-ray. In any case, second up, if you're into the detail that a production team can stuff into the frame, the Blu-ray version of Cars, the Pixar people, they are amazing. The Blu-ray version of Cars just crushes the DVD version right from the opening scene. Look at the color detail on the car, the reflections of the surfaces around it, the detail in the tires, the detail in the tracks. Look at the differences in the crowds in the background as the camera moves around. There are lots and lots and lots of visual elements that leap off of a 1080p screen from Blu-ray that pretty much get lost in sort of a muddy sweep of color on the DVD version. Now, look, do you lose the story or the excitement in the DVD version? Hell no, but the Blu-ray version looks epic in 1080p. And it's something we can, well, it's still an awesome movie, and yes, it is still an awesome movie, even if it's a cruddy, rabbit ears antenna UHF thing in black and white. But
we've put up with bad video for a very long time, and now that we finally have a source like Blu-ray, or that represents currently the pinnacle of consumer video, it's easy to make those comparisons, especially if you can look at it on large screen sizes where you can really pick out differences between picture quality. For me, I notice things like the shiny parts on people's skin, I think they call them specular reflections. On DVD video, MPEG-2 video, I notice that those are very muted and very almost gone. They almost get destroyed in the transfer. But
smirched.
On Blu-ray, you notice basically the oily sheen of a person's forehead, or let alone pores. 5 o'clock shadow goes from being kind of just, it looks like somebody rubbed some charcoal on your face to, you can see every hair.
Starting to sound like one of those close-ups from a Ren and Stimpy flick when you're like, oh God.
No. Bad flashback. Anyway.
Look, we're not going to get into it right now because we've talked about The Wizard of Oz and one of the favorites in my house, the BBC's Pride and Prejudice miniseries, to death, but both received extensive restoration work, and the colors and the detail really show in the Blu-ray version. So there's a lot of older movies that are really getting amazing makeovers as they go to Blu-ray, whether the transfers are new or they're being restored or they found better prints or they found the original negatives. Not all Blu-rays are quality. We're trying to help you, avoid the ones that look awful, but I hope these give you some ideas of stuff you can use on your HDTV to really see the difference between a standard def DVD encoding and being upsampled versus an actual 1080p feed.
Let's get to the new releases for December 8th, 2009. Good news for all you Harry Potter fans. The Half-Blood Prince will make its debut on Blu-ray this week. Paired with the release of the Ultimate Editions of The Chamber of Secrets and The Sorcerer's Stone. The latter two are 3 discs each and include edition tapes, behind-the-scenes footage, interviews, a 48-page photo book, and much more. Not to be outdone, Lost, the complete 5th season, is also being released on Blu-ray, which will also be available in what they call the Dharma Initiation Kit, which includes 5 Blu-ray discs, stickers, maps, Dharma Initiation orientation pamphlets, embroidered patches, and get this, a VHS tape. Does anyone still have a VHS player? I know some of you do. Other releases this week include Julie and Julia, Public Enemies, UFC, The Ultimate 100 Greatest Fights, and World's Greatest Dad. Coming up next, more HD goodness. But first, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Squarespace. You can now manage your entire Squarespace website on the go with the new Squarespace iPhone application. Post and edit entries, manage content, save drafts, preview your updates, and more, all directly from your iPhone. Snap a photo with your iPhone and upload it directly to your Squarespace site instantaneously. Want to check your view counts? The iPhone app has all the stats available. Unique visits, page views, popular search terms, RSS subscribers, and top referrers are all right there under the Stats tab. So even if you're not at your desk, you can keep your website up to date. All you need is your iPhone. And if you're just starting out with Squarespace, be sure to use the code HDNation when you check out. You'll get 10% off the lifetime of your order. Check it out at squarespace.com.
Our quest to review every HD set-top box ever made, or at least we can get our grubby little hands on, continues with Western Digital's WDTV Live. The original WDTV was an excellent start, but only played video from a USB drive attached to the box. The live version finally adds networking to the mix. Robert, how did the WDTV Live compare to the other boxing out there that you've been testing?
I have to say, it's portable. So that's the number one thing. It's a tiny box. We'll show that off here in a second. Overall, my experience has been really good. I think there are a couple of things I would like to see improved, but for the price and for the performance and for the ease of use, I'm going to say I give it a big thumbs up.
So how does it compare to, say, the Popcorn Hour, the C200?
Popcorn Hour is a standalone personal computer. I mean, that's like a set-top box, really. And then you add your own hard drive and things like that. This is like taking, in a sense, the decoder guts out of a Popcorn Hour, and with a similar interface, yet having the ability to then add your own storage components externally, and really minimizing the size of the device itself. So
you stream it from a remote server. You stream it off a USB drive.
You could do that, and it connects easily enough to a home network device. It has DLNA support.
Nice.
The Digital Living Network Alliance. So you can, if you have like my server at home is compliant with that. So it had no problem finding my network components, grabbing content from that, like my videos, pictures, music, and then streaming that right to the device and playing it through my home theater system.
Okay, firmware upgrades are usually critical for set-top boxes. Is it a miserable manual experience on this, or is it automatically finding them?
It was wonderful. Right when you first plug it in, you plug it in, it just goes, oh, I have an update. Would you like to apply it? Do it. And it warns you not to unplug it while it's doing its thing. And the latest update was version 1.01.11, added a ton of fixes and a ton of new features too, which is really great. And looking at the list of things that it fixed, it addressed quite a few problems people were having.
Navigation kind of is, set-top box could be, a lot of them have amazing 1080p full screen Dolby decoding, but it takes you 10 minutes to like play the video because the interface is so miserable. How's the WD-TV stacking up?
Smooth, actually snappy for, I was expecting nothing, and so I was very pleased that you've got a dinky little remote, but the remote performance in terms of menu navigation and just navigating through all the various features and settings, very easy and very quick, snappy, I would say.
And the interface overall?
Interface overall is beautiful. It's a beautiful blue, and it's simple, it's well laid out, and it overall, I didn't find it confusing in any way. It's just like, you know what, I added more network devices, like my home computer was running, boom, it popped up. Like I was saying, my network storage appliances were there. As soon as I plug in a USB device, boom, it shows up. The online features too, because it is a network appliance, things like Flickr support now is there, and Pandora and Live 365, although that you have to basically do a subscription feature for that. Those are all there, and I have to say, having Pandora playing while looking at my slideshows from pictures I recently took on a trip, very great. I loved it. It was, for all that, it was perfect.
Xbox 360, PS3, handle a fair number of codecs, but for a lot of stuff you might be downloading off the internet, you might run it through Tversity to transcode it before it gets to the box. How's the codec support on the WDTV Live?
Pretty solid. A lot of open source audio formats, so then or just lossless audio formats too, like FLAC, AIFF, of course LPCM, and a few others as well. And all built right in. Video support, MPEG 2 flavors, MPEG 4 flavors. Your Matroska wrapper files are great. As far as output options, the one thing I really wanted it to do, and it didn't, was provide a native output format. I was running this output into a video processor, but because it's upscaling everything to 1080p 24 in the case I have it set here, go up to 1080i 30. It doesn't do 1080p 60 output as far as I can tell.
Especially you're saying you wanted it, if the original content was 480p, you wanted it to do a 480p output. Or if the original content
and let
was
my outboard
720p.
scaler take care of that. That's something they probably could add. I'm probably like
I don't think a lot of people are connecting the $150 box to the $600 Anchor Bay.
But it also does all my switching too, so it's like, I just ease of use. That was the one thing. The other thing I noticed too is that it lacked upscaled video. When it was doing upscaling, the video looked a little blocky. That's one thing I really liked about Popcorn Hour comparatively, was that it seemed like it did a better job in terms of its upscaling ability, taking low resolution video and blowing that up to 1080p or beyond. And when I zoomed in on my photographs, that was another point where I saw the scaler probably could have been doing a better job. It does full HD images, so whatever your picture is, it's going to take advantage of your full screen and the resolution of the photo. But when you go to zoom into a photo, it doesn't appear that it resamples the photo as you zoom in.
Are other boxes doing a better job at resampling?
That's something I'd like to explore a little bit more. That was one I just kind of noticed off the top of my head. I hadn't really paid attention to it with the other devices, but that's something I'll be looking forward.
Add it to the list, man.
In terms of testing, that's something I really want to pay attention to.
How about like Netflix or Hulu or stuff like that?
No, nothing like that. Not in this product, although you could take a piece of software like PlayOn software, but you have to load that on a PC, and if that's running on the PC and the DLNA compliant nature of this device, it will see that and allow you then to access those streams of content.
So I'm sensing an overall thumbs up.
Yeah, for the codec support, price is affordable too. $120 online. It's probably going to go lower than that. Probably be under 100 by the time the holidays wrap around. Ease of use. I mean, literally, I didn't need the manual to set this up. It was painless as could be. And HDMI output, optical output too. If you want to do, say, a separate audio stream, go into another device. DTS support, Dolby Digital support for files like that, plus just a mishmash, or not a mishmash, but a nice long list of codecs that are supported, built right into the device, and portability too.
So the popcorn hour you use if you're going to have all your media locally on a
if you're looking for a set-top box, really, you want a full-on set-top box with maybe some additional multimedia streaming features, but not much. I mean, this one pretty much matches it feature for feature. Except for just the ability to have it all internalized, like your storage
hard drive
content.
actually inside.
Yeah, this is really requires you to add devices from the outside, or in my case, I had it all on a separate network attached device and was just accessing it over my local network.
Yeah, if you want to spread basically your media to a bunch of TVs cheaply, this is one way to do it. Folks,
Totally.
We got to move on. Coming up, Robert's picks for the best bargain HDTVs for the holiday shopping season. But first, we want to thank one of our sponsors, GoDaddy.com. Get reliable, secure web hosting without a long-term contract. GoDaddy's hosting plans are bigger and better than ever with 99% uptime, free 24/7 support, and no annual commitment. GoDaddy.com makes it easy to customize your own virtual dedicated server. Choose one of 3 popular plans or select your own Linux or Windows server with all the plan options you require. Use the code HDN9. What are you going to do? You're going to get $5 off any order of $30 or more. Some restrictions do apply. See the site for details. And make sure you check out revision3.com/GoDaddy for all the HD Nation GoDaddy deals and codes. Do us a favor, get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com and support HD Nation by using one of those HDN codes when you do. Time for some email. Shopping for a bargain HDTV? You're going to love this one. Luke writes in, Patrick and Robert, I'm finally dumping my 27-inch CRT. Oh, and it's going to be heavy, and please do it to a recycler for an HDTV. I have $1,200 to work with, stand and Blu-ray included in that price. I'd like to get something like 47, 50 inches. What's the best way to spend my cash? Love the show. Thanks, Luke, in Moore, Oklahoma. So I was actually annoying you over the weekend with a buddy of mine who's shopping for an HDTV, almost exactly the same budget.
Nah, that's true.
What's on your list?
Well, let's see. Let me make one thing clear. These are all going to be 1080p, 120 hertz or better in terms of technology. Just full resolution and at least 120 hertz performance. And I pulled all the pricing straight from Amazon. So what I'm talking about is usually includes free shipping, which is something to keep in mind. So That's something I really like about purchasing online. Anyway, a couple of TVs from Sony that I pulled right off the bat were the 46-inch V series, V as in Victor, $990 on Amazon, and I'd pair that maybe with, say, Sony's 40-inch W series, which is for about $1,070. And the W series adds internet features, basically the Yahoo Widgets engine, as well as the ability to access online for. I like just doing firmware updates for it and updating the TV. It's just boom, done. It's nice. So if you want the internet side of it, you can lower the screen size a little bit and get that feature if you like.
Basically, the less you want to spend, the smaller your screen's going to be if you want all the new cool guy features.
Those are 2 solid TVs, though. I've had experience with 2 generations of those Sony products now, and they've both been fabulous.
Very deep blacks. Not Kuro deep blacks, but very deep, satisfying black
We're
levels.
still waiting for something to match the mighty Kuro.
What's
and
up
on the LG side of things, they have their LH55 series. Now you can get up to a 42-inch screen for under $1,000, about $945. 47, it was just under, it was just a little over $1,200. So I'd totally be breaking the budget. No room left for a Blu-ray player or a stand. Which 2 good things. Get the TV at the right height. Now on the Samsung side of things, I found the LN46 B630. It's their B630 series. That's $1,090, just under $1,100. It has the matte finish screen. Now, if you want that ultra clear panel, the contrast enhancing shiny screen, you're looking for the 650 series. Now, the B630 doesn't have an internet feature, so to speak, but it does provide basic RSS support with your internet connection, so you can do things like weather and news feeds right on the TV screen, which is kind of nice. Now, Toshiba, on the other hand, they have their Regza series of flat panel televisions, usually tremendous in terms of color quality and video processing. They have the Regza 46XV645U. That's a $960 46-inch screen. Terrific value, usually terrific image quality as far as I've seen in the last couple generations from Toshiba. So you're good to go there. And on the Vizio side of things, we were talking about them earlier in the news, their SV421XVT. Now it's a 1080p 42-inch screen with a 200. They're claiming their so-called 240 hertz technology. They actually don't call it refresh rate; they call it scenes per second, which I won't get into. Anyway, $848. That's a pretty good value for a 42-inch screen size with that kind of performance.
So Yeah, and one thing you might want to think about, a lot of times will be like a special matching stand or mount that goes along with the HDTV, which usually costs you a bloody fortune and doesn't necessarily actually, especially if it's a stand rather than a mount, may not actually put it at the, basically you want it like you seated in the comfy chair facing the screen, the middle of the screen at your eye level, or sort of an average eye level between like you, the wife, the kids, whoever's on the list. Monoprice.com, Costco, Amazon, shop around. You can get a decent hardcore steel mount for your HDTV for $100, $150.
A lot less than that even.
Yeah.
If you go to Monoprice, they start at about $25 on up.
Yeah. If you really got to have a 47-inch or a 50-inch TV, start looking at the 100 hertz models, start looking for the closeout models. I mean, smaller screens cost less, but 50-inch, 47-inch TV for $1,000, $1,200 with a mount, that's getting tight.
That is. You could go plasma and hit that pretty easily, but you're going to deal with a little bit more weight if you're hanging it. I don't know if this person's going to wall mount or not. All of these TVs will come with a table stand or a stand that allows you to set it up on a table, so there is that there. But also with plasma, you're also dealing with increased energy consumption on average. Or if you need a very, very bright picture for a bright room, you probably want to steer more toward an LCD panel. I love my plasma, but it's specific uses only. Yeah.
Want some rapid fire questions?
Sure, let's do it.
Does the PS3 have issues playing some Blu-ray discs? Walter writes in, I've had a couple of people who are supposed to know what they're talking about tell me that the Sony PS3 has trouble playing Blu-ray discs that are not Sony pressed or at least Sony encoded Blu-ray discs. Can you speak to the veracity of these rumors before I go and get a PS3 for Christmas? Great show, thanks. Thank you, Walter, in Birmingham, Alabama. Have you ever had a disc not play on a PS3?
No, I've broken PS3s by just abusing them for long lengths of time. Basically, the original 60 gig launch units were pretty hot devices, generally speaking, and I used to run the folding at home application on them 24/7 and actually fried one or two of them that way.
Because the building we used to work in was the AC didn't run after 6 or over the weekends. So.
And that's a pretty good cook of that kind of hardware. But I've never had a PS3 that's been updated with the latest firmware update, which you can do easily enough through the PS3 menu. Right. I've never had it not play any disc that I can think of, and I've had these since the launch experience. So, and I've gone through a few generations of PS3s now, and they've been, as far as I can tell, a fairly good reference player, and even a good upscaling DVD player nowadays with the latest software.
Keep your firmware updated. It will solve a lot of problems. Marshall writes in, I can't seem to find the answer to this one. My PS3 sends out a 720p signal and my TV knows it's widescreen. The same for my HD broadcast. Meanwhile, my Samsung BDP 1500 and my Roku box send a signal that says 720p, but I have to stretch the image to fit the screen. Am I getting the full resolution width-wise? Marshall.
This was a tough one. I needed more information to make an answer here, but basically without knowing more about the setup, Marshall, I can only guess what might be wrong, and here are some of the things I would check first. One, make sure the content is actually widescreen. Yeah. Some players with SD content or even HD, SD content even on an HD channel can show up with pillar bars and look 4:3, and some DVDs are actually authored as 4:3 and letterboxed, unfortunately, which is like the worst of both worlds right there. The other thing I would do is actually check the player and make sure that the Samsung and the Roku are set up to a 16:9 screen format. Now, I've had issues, or I've had needs to where I actually go in and force the player to a 4:3 because the video wasn't being scaled the way I needed it to, but it was a very specific case. Generally, you want to make sure it will output 720p even though it is set for a 4:3 output format. So make sure you're in a widescreen format in the player setting, the Samsung and the Roku specifically. And finally, it would help to know what kind of connections you're using. Are you using composite, component, HDMI, and what kind of TV is it? So if you're ever going to write into us again, which maybe you want to, follow up on you with this, but that's information, basic information I would need to know.
Generally, if it says 720p, you're probably not using the composite connection. It's the old RCA jack or a S-video jack. But I bet you're getting SD content over a channel that says it's HD and getting basically stretching it so it fits. And the truth is, if it's SD, if it's 4:3, you should have a black letterbox on either side and just deal, Just
the disc player is probably the setting in the player. So I would check all the settings there first and update that too. There's firmware updates for that player in particular. So
good luck, man. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode of HD Nation. As always, we want to know what you think, so send your comments, questions, or suggestions to hdnation@revision3.com.
And head over to revision3.com/hdnation for show notes and links to everything we talked about in today's episode. We've got all the links you need to subscribe to the show, so if you're not getting the latest episode of HD Nation delivered to your iTunes, or your TiVo, or your Roku, or your set-top box, or iTunes, what are you waiting for?
That's right, people. Do us a favor, subscribe, watch, and please tell your friends about HD Nation. Until next time.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Robert Heron.
And I'm Patrick Norton. We'll see you next week.